Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jack. I have not uploaded anything for YouTube in months, and my workshop is a big disaster right now. I have had an incredibly busy summer. I went on a couple trips. I went on a trip to Tennessee, 2 trips to North Dakota. I just got done with a week-long personal side job re-roofing a garden shed. I have had my work cut out this summer. Today I'm making a similar style video as to what I did when I built this router table. I have been procrastinating going out and buying a planer for flattening wood. I've just been borrowing my boss's anytime I need to flatten wood, because I haven't been doing enough projects for it to almost be worth it for me to buy a planer yet. But now I have a giant collection of wood. I have a lot of projects I got to work on, and I just feel bad constantly going and using my boss's. So I just went out and bought a Harbor Freight Hercules 12.5-inch portable thickness planer. I think the normal price was about $399, but right now there's a deal going on. If you're an Inside Track Club member, you get it $50 off, and my dad happens to be, so I just used his phone number. I am excited to unbox it and start using it, but it does not come with a stand, and to save myself hundreds of dollars for buying a planer with a stand, I'm just going to build my own for like $50 worth of wood. So I had an expensive shopping day. I went out and bought the planer itself and a bunch of stuff to build a stand similar to what I did for this router table. So I bought 4 8-foot long 2x4s. That'll be enough if I do what I did for my corners, and I just rip one of them in half to make like a 2x2 kind of. I could have just bought a 2x2, but I just bought a bunch of 8-foot 2x4s, and I can just rip them down and do something like this for the corner L-joints. And then I bought some car siding for, I'm going to make a shelf like this. I bought 4 2-inch caster wheels that swivel and have brakes, and I bought some 3-inch construction screws and 1 1/4-inch drywall screws. And this is why I love Menards. I mean, I can't speak for other stores. They might have something similar to this too, but Menards is normally my go-to store when I need to buy wood and stuff. So Menards has what's called handy panels. So I just bought a 2-foot by 2-foot piece of 3/4-inch plywood. They have a bunch of like sections of random size scrap wood for plywood, OSB, 2x4s, other construction lumber for super cheap if somebody just needs like a small board. Instead of going out and buying a full 4x8 sheet of plywood, you can just get a 2-foot by 2-foot if that's what you need. So this stand is going to be 2-foot by 2-foot, and that'll work perfect for this planer because I think the length is just about 2 foot and the width is like 18 inches. So that'll be just about perfect for a little stand with some storage underneath where I can put this box and all the stuff for the planer underneath it. And the thing that actually pushed me over the edge for buying a planer finally is that somebody reached out to me and wanted me to build them a custom live edge bar top, which means that I can finally get a use out of these, what are these, 8-foot long red oak slabs. I'm going to plane those down, flatten them, and then pour an epoxy river through them and make that into a bar top. And I was not going to haul those to my boss's and plane them with his planer. So I just went out and finally bought my own planer, and I have a bunch of other scrap wood that can also be planed down. So I should have a fun next couple of weeks just flattening wood like crazy. And also something else eventful that happened recently is one of the towns near me has an annual Summerfest with a tractor show, truck show, a bunch of like kids games and stuff, and a vendor village. So I secured a 10 by 10 vendor spot for a booth where I had a big setup for all of my woodworking projects, and I think I made about $400 from that. I sold quite a bit of stuff there, so I am very happy. I think it was only $15 fee for a 10 by 10 spot, and I made $400, so I am very glad I went out and did that. And that way I was also able to push my name out to more people, and I don't know how much I've talked about it on the channel. I was thinking for a while pretty hard about moving to Tennessee within the next year or two, and that might not happen now, at least anytime soon. So I'm gonna be here a while. I was concerned about, I'm not concerned, but I wasn't as focused on pushing my name out to more people, because then I was just gonna move soon anyway, and it wouldn't really have mattered much. But now I might be here a while, so I may as well try and push my name out to more people. I was trying forever to figure out where this dust collector hooks up to it, so I had to open up the manual. It fits in right here where these two screws are, and it goes like that. So there's this gap here where the boards come out and the dust shoots up and out here, and then goes into there and out through there. That's really cool. And it fits perfectly on this 2 foot by 2 foot piece of plywood with about 2 inches of room on each side. So now just picture this with a stand underneath it. That'll be pretty awesome. So for each of these 2x4s, to get the most out of them, I'm going to cut them up into 3 foot, 3 foot, 2 foot. The 3 foot pieces will be for the legs, and then the 2 foot pieces will be for the horizontal cross members to tie the legs together. I was so excited because I thought I was going to have exactly the amount of 2x4s that I needed for all these cuts. I needed one more 18-inch long piece, and this last piece that I ended up with is 17 3/8. I am 5/8 off of what I needed. That kind of sucks. Luckily, I conveniently have this scrap piece of 2x4 right here. That will work perfectly. So now these two 3 foot boards, I'm going to take outside and rip them in half with the table saw. Like so. And for these tongue and groove car siding boards, I'm going to need them to play out to be about 21 inches by 21 inches when they are stuck together. So I'm going to cut the length at 21 inches, and then I can get 2 boards out of each of these for a total of 4 boards. And then I'm going to have to rip the 2 end ones if I want to make the pattern even. I just want to see how much it plays out first though, because I'm not sure how much I'm going to have to rip off of those 2 end boards. So when they are all put together like this, plays out to just about 27 inches, and I need them to be a total of 21 inches, which means I am going to have to rip quite a bit off of the 2 end boards. So if I rip it just how I have it laid out, where I rip this one right there and I rip this one right here, everything past 21, it would look the nicest because I would have 2 1/4 inches from the last seam on each side. So then I would have quite a bit of room into the last boards on each side to where it's not really close to the seam, like 1/2 inch past it, which would look kind of goofy. I think that it would look the nicest for sure, so that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I think that is all of the pieces cut and ripped to the dimensions that I need them to be to put them together. But first, I am going to sand off all these little thingamathings on the edges. Probably means I should change out that miter saw blade soon. I don't know if it's ever been changed out, and I've had it for years. And I'm doing this just because I am going to paint it and stain it like I did this. So I'll sand all of the edges and then I can start putting it together. Okay, now I'm gonna put them together. So I just have all these tongue and groove car siding boards just laying in here for now because I am just going to take them out and stain them separately because it'll be easier that way. But I'm not going to paint or stain for probably a while because I just want to use the planer. I think it is ready to be tested out. Okay, so I don't have the dust collector hooked up to it yet, so I'm for now just gonna wheel it out to the big overhead door so all the dust can fly out and my dad doesn't get all mad at me. But I found the perfect piece of walnut for a test planing of this. So I'm going to adjust the cutting depth and test it out. That worked absolutely beautifully. Other than at the very end, it left a little bit of whatever this is called. I gotta figure out how to play with that, but I don't care. That's no big deal. This does a better job than what the router table can do in 1/10 of the time. The router table will still get plenty of use. I mean, a planer cannot perfectly flatten a board that does not already have one flat side, you know? So for most boards that are super warped or twisted, I'm going to have to route one side of them flat, and then I can just plane the other side because the planer will base the side that I'm planing off of the flat side underneath it, you know? But there is nothing like a brand new set of planer blades. That is smooth and shiny. And 90% of the wood shavings came right out of here like they were supposed to, and that makes me really happy. But now, it's time for the real test. These two beauties are my 8-foot long, 12.5-inch wide, 1.75 inch thick red oak slabs that I am using for the custom bar top. These are what pushed me over the edge to go and buy a planer. So these are what I'm going to use that planer 4. Let's see if it'll work. I'm sure most of you came here for the durability test anyway. They are not going to be planed at the full 8 foot though. Before I plane them, I'm going to cut them off to about 70 inches. That is because that's how long the bar top's going to be. Normally, I would have just planed the whole boards regardless and then cut them off, but conveniently, the very ends, right about where they're going to be cut onward, are over 12.5 inches wide. So I got very lucky. I'm going to cut them off at 70 inches and then they should all fit through the planer. That is all that the dust collector did not pick up from planing that entire board for about half an hour. Dust collector got everything else and it didn't. I mean, I don't see any fine dust particles in the air. I didn't during the whole thing. It got enough for me to be thrilled with that dust collector. And this board turned out beautiful. Again, it's not perfectly flat because both sides were twisted, so I will have to run my router sled through it, but now at least I should be able to get away with only needing to do 1 or 2 passes, and it feels incredibly smooth. So it's still got a little bit of a twist in it, but it was a lot worse before. I was worried how these boards were going to turn out because I didn't know what the deal with all of this yellow moldy looking stuff was, or I mean the whole things were kind of full of like green mold and that yellow stuff, so I didn't know if it was going to leave big stains throughout, further deep into the wood, but I don't see any of it. It looks beautiful. So I'm thrilled with that. And I'm sure the guy who I'm doing this bar top for will love all the cool, I don't know if you would call this figuring, but I'll fill all these holes with epoxy and it just adds a lot of character to it then. Even though it won't be too exciting of a river, but it'll still be really cool. And this planer ran like a champ. I mean, I'm sure it's a great way to beat it up in a hurry, beat the blades up, but it did exactly what I wanted it to do, to flatten this board. So I am very happy with my purchase. Hey guys, it's the day before Thanksgiving, and I am just now getting around to uploading this video, so my apologies. I have not been doing the best on keeping up with this channel. So I didn't actually end up doing a video on this bar top, and honestly, I don't regret not doing it because the whole thing was just a lot of trial and error, and it would have been kind of a messy video for how many things I had to redo and So here's some pictures of the final result, if anybody was curious on how the bar top actually turned out. It was about a 3-month long project that I did in my spare time, and it is by far the most adventurous project I have ever attempted to do. It was a very expensive epoxy river pour. I used the really good, expensive liquid glass deep pour epoxy, and it was just about 2.5 gallons worth, so pretty expensive. And it was a very nerve wracking drive hauling it to the customer an hour away. But it turned out beautiful, and I'm very happy with it. I am still, to this day, incredibly happy with the planer. I would highly recommend it if you are out there looking for a planer similar to mine. Harbor Freight's where it's at. I love the Hercules one. So, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.